Hey guys, it's Aman and Christina from the Our Rich Journey podcast, where we answer your questions about making, saving, and investing money for financial independence. Okay, we got our microphone set up.
We do.
We are, I think our sound is going to be good.
I hope so.
Should we have theme music? Every podcast has theme music.
Okay, we'll have to find some theme music.
We got to have some theme music. Maybe we'll drop it on this episode.
Okay.
But this is our first podcast episode. And I know so many people are going to be like, you have a podcast now?
Yes. So I think let's talk about the reason why we decided to do this podcast. And it's really because we get so many questions coming in, and sometimes we think that the questions that come in can serve a broader audience rather than just giving that information to that one person. Wouldn't it be great if they could ask the question and we could share it with everyone, right?
Oh, I love that, because the conversations that we have when we receive these questions, we should be recording these.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And so it's like, we need to have a podcast because you see things one way, I see them another.
Sometimes the same way.
Sometimes the same way, but we can always play advocate for each angle.
Right. And I also think, this podcast is going to be, this is why we separated the podcast from the regular channel too, right? Because this podcast is supposed to be designed solely for question and answers. It's not the general theme of what we have on our other channel. So that's why it's good to separate it, I think, is just to keep it just for people that want to call and ask questions or email questions, and then we have our responses here in this separate channel, this separate podcast.
So it's the Q&A. They ask a question, we answer the question.
Right.
We give a little bit of insight.
Yes.
We share some experience from our journey, and hopefully it helps people make a better decision.
Yes.
I love the Q&A format.
Yeah, but the way we want to do it, though, is people can be anonymous, people can state their name, they can email it, or they can even go to our website and call and make a recording of their question, right?
I hope they do the recording.
Yes.
Because I love to hear people's voices. And you can learn a lot from the question. You can gleam into the question based on hearing a person's voice.
Yes. But that's not the only way, right? That's your preference,
That's
right?
my preference.
But it can be either way. It can be either way.
Well, I don't like to read, so I don't want to read people's questions.
Well, I'll be responsible for the
listen.
reading then, and I'll read them to you. You can listen to that part.
No, I love to read, but I do like audiobooks a lot better.
Oh, you do.
Know me.
You do.
And it's something you often give me a hard time about, because I'll say, "Oh, I read 7 Habits," and you say, "No.
Right.
You listen to that."
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the technicality, right? You can't say you read it. I think it's more like you listened to it.
Well, it doesn't sound as sophisticated when you say, "Oh, I listened to that book."
Yeah, but I think I guess this goes into line with our podcast too, right? Because there are benefits to just listening to something, because you could be driving, you could be working on something at the same time, you could be moving around the house, cleaning, things like that, and you can listen. You can listen to your audiobooks, you can listen to this podcast. So there are the benefits of not reading and listening, which is another reason why we're creating this podcast.
So I'm excited, and I think I just want everyone to put their questions in.
Yes.
We're gonna try to answer all the questions. You think we can answer all of them?
No.
That's a lot of episodes. We're gonna do this podcast as many times a week as possible, right?
Yes.
You want to do it every day?
Well, what I think we'll do
we can't do it.
I think the idea is we'll try and do maybe like 3 questions per episode. We can break it up if it gets too long, right? But I mean, it would be probably really lofty to think that we could cover every single question. But I do think that a lot of questions, there'll be repetition that come in, So maybe we cover one specific question from some person, but we have 10 of that exact same question or similar theme to that question. So I think we'll be able to cover a lot of questions, but it might not be exactly specific for each person, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So if you guys are listening to this podcast right now, what we want you to do is first make sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this on, or maybe you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and like and hit that notification bell if you're listening or watching us on YouTube. But after that, go on over to ourrichjourney.com/podcast and leave your questions. hopefully you leave an audio question so I don't have to read it.
Or I will read it and I'll read it to Amon to listen to.
Yes.
I mean, we'll get to it either way, right?
All right, we will see you guys on next week on our first episode, right?
Right.
We're going to drop our first episode next week.
Yes.
But in the meantime, make sure to subscribe.
Wait. Yes, make sure to subscribe. We have to have like a what is it? A closing line? You know, like how we do on our channel. We got to have the
join the journey.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? Do you want to be?
This is a new podcast though. We can't use the video join the journey.
Okay.
We have to use something else.
Yeah.
Join the journey came to us on a whim. It was a
I
freestyle.
know.
We didn't even plan that.
That's true, because if you look at our first videos, I don't think we had that same ending. We were sort of like, that's the video. See you next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the join the journey came sort of later. Probably if you go back to our very first video, we didn't have that. So like our channel, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey, right? It was just sort of like, that's the information. I hope you guys liked it. See you later.
I can't think of a closing phrase.
So today,
It's too much pressure.
Let's do the join the journey today, and then we'll think of it for the next podcast. What's our closeout? Okay.
I like
so make sure, if you guys like this podcast, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and join the journey.